The only way forward for Muslims is to go back to that moral foundation, is to rebuild a moral culture, Islamic morality. And on the other hand, we have to erase, we have to remove the obstacles which prevents us from realizing true Islamic culture in our lives, in our civilization. Those obstacles have built up over the generations, to the point now where we are unable to recognize them as true obstacles. They have become so much a part of our Islam that we cannot distinguish between Islam and Mislam. We think everything that Muslims do is Islam. But there is a lot that Muslims do which is in fact Mislam. Our challenge is to realize what is not a part of Islam and to remove it. Traditional Islam. I'm sure we're all familiar with some element of it in our home countries. Traditional Islam. The Islam of tradition. Which from the time that we are children we are taught. You must respect the tradition. When you question the tradition, you're told if this was good enough for your father, your grandfather, and your great-grandfather, it should be good enough for you. And Satan is the backer of this kind of Islam. He is there egging, urging the people on to defend this and to stand firm with it. So when people are invited to the Quran and the Sunnah, come, let's do what the Quran and Sunnah says. The people say, that was not the way of our forefathers. That was not our tradition. We don't do things that way here. And actually, that was said 1,400 years ago. Same words. Allah recorded in the Quran in about 5-6 different places. In Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse 104, Allah says there, وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ تَعَالَوْا إِلَى مَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ وَإِلَى الرَّسُولِ قَالُوا حَسْبُنَا مَا وَجَدْنَا عَلَيْهِ آبَاءَنَا أَوَلَوْ كَانَ آبَاؤُهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ شَيْئًا وَلَا يَهْتَدُونَ. If you tell them, this is Allah speaking to the Prophet ﷺ, if you tell them, come to what Allah has revealed and to the Messenger, they will reply, what we found our parents doing is sufficient for us. What we found our parents doing is sufficient for us. And Allah goes on to say, even though their parents knew nothing, nor were they rightly guided. So that answer, the traditional folk, cultural Islam, is a standard of Satan. It is a standard used by Satan to oppose guidance. So we find, for example, just as an example, in the Indo-Pakistani subcontinent, the practice of getting married in a red wedding dress. Red. Now, Islam doesn't have any problem with any color. You want to marry in colors of the rainbow, you can do it, you know. No problem. However, when the society says you must get married in this color, we have a problem. Because now you're making obligatory on people something which Islam didn't make obligatory. So we have to look to see why is it people are insisting that you must get married in red. And then we look at the Hindus and we see their women marrying in red. And we realize that's where it came from Hindu practice. That was the norm amongst the Hindus, to get married in red. Muslims converted to Islam and they brought red along with them. And again, as people will say, this is something minor, nothing really big. But if we progress forward to other similar customs, and we have today in Egypt, Sudan, Somalia, Ethiopia, and that region, FGM. FGM. What is that? Female genital mutilation. Muslims cut up the private parts of their women. Mutilation. And it's true. Muslims in this part of the world do it. Also, so do the Christians. Christians in Egypt, Christians in Ethiopia, Christians in Sudan, they all do it. In Kenya, they're doing it. So it's really not a Muslim thing, but it's associated with Muslims. And it's only in that part of the Muslim world. The rest of the Muslim world is not involved in this. This is what is in front of us today. These are only a few examples, just to make it real. Because I may speak about it and they said, yeah. But we need to realize that this is a real threat in our Muslim societies today. And we have to eradicate it. We have to re-establish Islam by removing these things, correcting it. That is the only way forward. And Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he was the example of change. One who came and reformed the culture, an evil culture, with good, of Saudi Arabia. A culture which buried its children, girls, alive. So there was that kind of evil existent. But Islam came and prohibited this.